Half a day. This is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. If you're struggling to pay rent and utilities because of the pandemic, your government can help. Our emergency rental assistance program provides direct relief to you. To date, over $6.9 million has helped over 1,500 households.
Apply online at eoa.guam.gov or call the Department of Administration's Emergency Rental Assistance Program at 671-638-4518 or 19.
Bottom line is we're gonna make you a better person. You're gonna be healthier and fitter than you were before.
Good morning, Marianas. 40 miles to the north of Guam, we have in the left ring of the corner, I'm not a boxing person. I don't know anything about it. But if I was, I would know how to say all of that stuff. So I suppose what we're waiting for is a show of decorum within the CNMI Senate when its session begins. It's supposed to begin at 10 a.m., but I don't know, maybe they're settling some matters. We hope to see decorum and civility and a proper debate on impeachment rules. There is a proposed set of rules that is very obvious, not just tilted, not just slanted, but as Representative Selena Babalza from the House of Representatives has stated, is stacked. Stacked in favor of Governor Ralph Torres, and Senator Paul Manglonia from Rhoda had a problem with that on the session. Was that Monday or Tuesday? I can't remember now. I think it was Monday. And, well, he had a problem with it. He raised a civil argument with Senate President Jude Hofschneider. Which camera do I look at? The one on the left or the right?
One in the center.
The one in the center. Oh, this one, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And so Senator Paul Manglonia raised this issue, had a civil argument with Senate President Jude Hofschneider. Unfortunately, the Senate President recessed the Senate and did not provide this argument, this debate, in front of the people of the CNMI. But thankfully, there were people in the public gallery who were recording what was happening. But unfortunately, that escalated. That, you want your elected officials to argue with each other about the issues. You really do. You don't want them all to agree on things. If we have leaders who agree on all things all the time, then we don't need to be electing so many leaders. All we need is one administrator, and that one administrator can do everything, and then we know how to pay everybody else's salaries. The purpose of a legislature is for there to be debate, but unfortunately that debate on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember when the session was now, escalated into a near physical brawl between Senator Victor Hokuk, who rushed up to Senator Paul Manglonia in a fighting stance. Well, it wasn't just a fighting stance. He had to be restrained by one of the officers of the legislature. Sergeant at Arms Pedro Towai had to jump over the chain link barrier to help to stop that fight. Like an Olympic champ. Thank you so much, Chalu. Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero, who at first was walking away because she didn't like when Senator Hokug slammed his fists on the table and started to cuss. She started to walk away. Then she had to walk back. She turned around and she walked back because she saw her colleague rushing her other colleague, and so she tried to calm him down. Senate President Jude Hofschneider tried to calm him down. I don't know if we have the made-for-TV video of this thing. However, you know, that should not have been the focus, but it became the focus of that session that happened. What we hope to see this morning is an actual argument about the impeachment rules. And when I say argument, I don't mean that people cuss or throw personal barbs at each other. What I mean is that people say what's on their mind, that the senators say what's on their mind, and speak truthfully about the pros and cons of these proposed impeachment rules, so that the Senate can arrive at impeachment rules that actually do this process justice. And so that's what we're waiting for to see happen. But prior to actually, refreshing doesn't really work, right? If you would just give me a second, let me try to see. Oh shoot, sorry, I keep forgetting to do that. Hi, Johanna Ada. Buenas. Hi, Tobat Castro. Let me see if I can log on to their page and see if it looks different from the page that you're on, Eric. Just to make sure. I'm seeing the same thing. March 3, 2022 at 10 a.m. 31 waiting. All right. Well, we'll come back to that. So, first of all, a happy 42nd birthday to my cousin, John Roberto. He's a customs officer. You know, I can imagine now that I've said that, some of his coworkers might be angry with him. Like, how dare you be his cousin? How dare you, John? You were born into this world 42 years ago as Troy Torres' cousin. How dare you?
Dare you? Bidding?
I don't know what that was about. But it sounded like he was offended by something that, I mean, it sounded like Bruce Iglesias, Mr. Iglesias, was offended by something that Senator Vinny Sablan said somewhere. I don't know what the context is, but did you see the video? Bruce Iglesias released another video, and he said, you know, despite the differences or whatever, don't be mistaken, I'm still Torres Sablan, is what he said. I have no idea what that was about. And then I guess maybe he got because he was talking about Rowena, I promise. I guess he got a call from Rowena Ogo to, I guess, calm it down. I don't know. Maybe it was a mea culpa. I have no idea what happened, but that was something. I thought he was joking around, and I thought he was like making or mocking the whole fight between Victor Hokug and Paul Manglonia, but apparently it was just, so there's a lot of calm that we need in our lives these days. It's Lent, everyone. I mean, remember when we were young? And every Friday of Lent, you cannot listen to Kandit, for sure. But back then, Kandit wouldn't have existed anyway, right? Well, you couldn't turn on the TV. You cannot even turn on the news, right? Cannot with the radio. If you even turn the page of the newspaper too loudly, my grandma would have punched my face. Would have at least pinched me. Would have at least said, "Jadana Troy." It's Lent. Oh, goodness. The good old days of being Catholic in the Mariana Islands. That's changed. And now, but you know what shouldn't change is our commitment to renewal and to calm things down. You know, we should argue about the policies. We should argue about character and behavior and all those things. But what we should not do is personally attack. And I know that's weird coming from me. I've changed. I'm reformed. Every now and then I'll get in my dig, you know, but I'll try not to do it on Kandit. All right, so, well, there's, you know what one of the things that I dislike when I see it is when we post something about, I don't know, take your pick. Lulian Guerrero, Ralph Torres, Mike Nicholas, Kilili, Biden, Trump, whatever the case may be. And then someone says, in this all-encompassing way, all Republicans are stupid or all Democrats are stupid. It's just not true. And first, may I just say, first of all, that being a Republican or a Democrat in Guam is very different from being a Republican or Democrat in the States. I'll tell you that. Except for some who actually abide by, the national party's belief systems. Being a Republican or Democrat in Saipan, Tinian, or Rota is very different from being a Republican or Democrat in Saipan, Tinian, or Rota, or in the States. And it sure as heck is different from being a Democrat or Republican from Guam. There are just, you cannot define people's belief systems. I know it sounds crazy and sounds stupid based on these two parties because people's affiliations in the islands with these parties they're based on a variety of things. And sure, it should mean that there should be different parties and they should all subscribe to different beliefs or whatever. But whatever the case may be, it is what it is. And now we have this system where, in my personal opinion, all right, this is just going to be me talking. I love the Democrats in the CNMI. I think, for the most part, they are fighting against corruption. They are fighting for a system of justice, a reform of the criminal justice system. They are, to me, nothing like the Democrats in the States who, I have a hard time identifying with the Democrats in the States because they just are a little too whack. I'm the kind of person who believes that there are only two genders. But I have no problem with people's, wanting to be called something else or whatever. But when you try to force that on me, I have a problem with it. The Democrats in the CNMI seem to be the fiscal conservatives, and the Republicans in the CNMI, at least the ones who are in charge in public office, are the ones who spend willy-nilly and who don't care about budgets and who are not fiscally conservative whatsoever, right? Conservatives normally are about not wasting things. I see Republicans in the CNMI wasting things all the time that could have been, that was purchased with the funds of taxpayers, and if it wasn't going to be used for a public purpose, should have been returned to the taxpayers, right? On Guam, it's almost like it's different, but not. So, there's a Democrat like Mike Nicholas who acts like a Republican. He's fiscally conservative. He's just a sensible person, and he gets a lot of things done. And then, we've had issues with the Democratic administration of Lulian Guerrero, not necessarily the governor herself, but people in her administration who have been wasteful or who have done things that we have called out as being corrupt. And then there are Republicans who, we like Felix Camacho, can't stand the Calvos because of all the things that they've done. And so you just can't lump them all together. And there are differences for sure. And so it's not even about, the islands versus the United States. There are differences between Guam and the CNMI as well. So all of that, while we're waiting for the CNMI Senate to come into session, all of that was an intro to a news release that was sent out by the Democratic Party of Guam last night. I wanted to read it to you. It says, Do Guam Republicans agree with Trump that Putin is smart, savvy, and a genius? Okay. The Republican Party's leader has spent the last week shamelessly praising Vladimir Putin as the Russian military indiscriminately bombs Ukrainian civilians. Republicans have worked hard to avoid answering questions about Donald Trump's praise, but that simply is not a tenable position as the Ukrainian people bravely fight back against Putin's invasion. As long as Republicans look to Donald Trump as their party leader, they have to answer for his reckless adoration of an authoritarian. So every Republican has to answer a few questions. This is according to the Democratic Party release. And I'll tell you this. I am now a registered Democrat, but for years and years and years, I was a registered Republican. I was even secretary of the party. And if I were still a registered Republican, I would have a big problem with the Democrats just sort of blanketing all Republicans this way. With this, so every Republican has to answer a few questions. You know, my response to that would be, I'd be like, you answer these questions. Why do I have to answer these questions? You answer your own damn questions. I don't care what you have to say. Well, anyway, so this is what they say. Do you agree with Donald Trump's praise of Vladimir Putin as savvy, a genius, and smart? Do you condemn his praise? Do you agree with the Republican Party of Guam's endorsed candidate that Joe Biden is not the duly elected president of the United States? You know what? I actually had a problem with. I did have a problem with former Governor Felix Camacho on the day that Russia invaded Ukraine and the possibility that the United States would be at war. Called into question the legitimacy of the American president. I really don't care. I mean, it doesn't. You know, when there's a war going on, it really doesn't matter who the president is. You know, like when Obama was president and there was conflict, I was like, you know what? We gotta support the president. When Trump was president and there was conflict, I was like, you know what? We gotta support the president, like because it's the American president. Anyway. Let me go on. It says, would you still support him if he runs for the GOP nomination? Talking about Trump. And here's a quote from Tony Babalta, the chairman of the Democratic Party of Guam. He says, the Biden-Harris administration has invested historical amounts in our island. From healthcare to infrastructure, from childcare to education, historic levels of economic growth and investments in workforce development, Democrats are delivering. While some of us are rolling up our sleeves and getting people back to work, we must call out the naysayers who continue to divide our community for the sake of a headline. I'm not sure whether this was provoked. Like, I didn't see that the Republican Party of Guam released anything. I suppose maybe what provoked it was Felix Camacho saying nice things about Donald Trump that might have provoked the Democrats on Guam to say something. But I did ask the Republican Party of Guam for a response, and you know what? They haven't responded, so that's not my problem. So the Democrats are going to get a point here on Kandit for at least saying something. The Republicans are going to get spit on for not saying anything. Like, why wouldn't they say anything to defend themselves? Or to say, you know what? Trump did this, and we agree with the things that Trump did, or whatever. There's a lot of things that can be said in their defense, but I'm not going to be the one to do it for them. Are we still waiting? Jeez. This is like taking as long as the Guam legislature to get into session, huh? You're slacking, CNMI Senate. We used to be able to tell all of our audience, you know, the CNMI Senate, they're like way more professional than the Guam legislature because they can start on time and they don't have as many recesses. Now it's like, I don't know. You know? I don't know. Oh, here we go.
Good morning. This is the second day, third regular session. Today is Thursday, March 3rd, 2022 at 10:20 a.m. here in the Senate Chamber, Saipan. And I would like to call this session to order. And before I ask everyone to stand for a moment of silence, please include in your prayers all the victims from the ravage of the ongoing conflict between the two countries in Europe and, of course, in Russia. And also, most especially, the members of our community that have been called upon or will potentially be called upon to respond to the call. So with that, I ask everyone to rise. And this time, the chair recognizes the clerk to call the roll.
Senator Cruz.
Here.
Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Here.
Senator Hoku.
Here.
Mr. President,
Yagi.
Senator King Neighbors,
Gaga.
Senator Manglonya, Senator Kidua, Senator Sablan,
Gaga.
Senator Santos. Mr. President, all 9 members are present.
With 9 members present, we do have a quorum to conduct this meeting today. So without any objection from the members, I now recognize the floor leader to offer a motion to amend today's agenda. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning to everybody present in this Senate session. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to suspend Rule 3, Section 3 of the official rules of the Senate, and in compliance with the Open Government Act, to amend today's agenda to include Senate Resolution 22-16 into item K of today's agenda for introduction. So moved, Mr. President.
Motion for the inclusion was read by the floor leader. It's been seconded. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The resolution is so placed. And before I go down to item B, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'll take a roll call with that.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
clerk, for the suspension motion.
Senator Cruz, Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hoko, Senator King Neighbors,
Yes.
Senator Manglonya, Senator Kidua, Senator Sablan,
Hungad.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
Ingan.
Mr. President, all 9 members voting yes.
With 9 members voting yes, the suspension of today's order of business is hereby approved by the members. And then before I proceed on to the order of business, I would like to inform everyone, the general public, that the special service, council services of Council Joy McDullet has been retained by my office to assist with the impeachment hearing and also to assist with the impeachment rules. So I want everybody to make note of that. Thank you. Moving on, item B under public comment. And this is the portion of our session where we allow members of the public to offer testimony on any items before the order in the order of business today. And I do want to remind everyone that you are allowed 5 minutes, as so clarified by the council, and I encourage anyone in the public to please abide by that. Thank you. So the floor is now open. And state your name for the record as you proceed, as you present your testimony.
Test. Good morning. Hafide, Tiro, honorable members of this Senate body. My name is Leila Fleming Staffler, and I'm here to provide comments on the rules, the Senate impeachment rules that I believe you just added to the agenda, but also in reference to communications 2297 and 2299. Now, I didn't know this, but I have come to learn that a special counsel virtually always means prosecutor. Senate President did clarify this morning on the role that Council McDullet is playing in this proceedings. However, it still made me curious and concerned, because when you look at the Black's law definition of a special counsel, it is the name given to the attorney who is employed to assist a state or federal attorney general in a prosecution of a case. A prosecutor in practice prosecutes, brings legal action against another for a crime in the name of the government. Yet it appears that Mr. McDoulett's role might have changed the definition of special counsel here in the Marianas. The rules that he has helped draft, which the current Senate Council is more than capable to have drafted, rules that the minority members of this body have had no input in. Is his role also to preside over the impeachment meeting? Is he acting as a pro se chairman to facilitate these hearings himself? These are questions that I wonder because when I look at the rules, I won't lie, I was shocked at the lengthy procedure that at any given point prior to the actual impeachment trial proceedings could disqualify the copious amounts of evidence that show clear and repetitive actions of felony corruption and neglect of duty by Governor Torres over these several years. And without the evidence to back it up, the impeachment process is incomplete. And to think these rules were drafted by special counsel, Black's Dictionary might have to change a new line to this definition, giving the name to attorneys in the Marianas who protect the governor from being impeached through procedural details. One of the rules that hampers this process is Rule 7, the appointment of the impeachment prosecutor. The House Speaker who authorized impeachment inquiry shall serve as the impeachment prosecutor. We are hampered by these rules because they bar us from choosing our own team members to be on the impeachment prosecution team. It bars us from hiring our own special counsel, who would actually be a special counsel in the name of Black's Law's definition. Instead, we must learn to be lawyers in a month or less. Oh wait, we don't have to learn to be lawyers in a month or less. It would be just the Speaker. The Speaker who has been more than fair over the course of these proceedings. He has always taken neutral ground, allowing for the process to take its course. He has not stacked the deck. He has been respectful of the minority by being neutral. This rule specifically has a chilling effect for all future speakers whose House leadership may have clear and convincing evidence to support an impeachment, whether it's for a governor or any other sitting official. Forcing the Speaker to carry 100% of the burden to prove this will make anyone think twice about authorizing an impeachment process. The impeached official has no such restriction. They can have as many counsel as they want, it appears. And they have hired a barrage of lawyers who are trying to build a wall of protection around this governor. Protection from who is what the people want to know. Now, doing what is right is never easy, but it is always the right thing to do. So, senators, we ask you to do what is right for the people, to be fair. These rules, they are not fair. They skew in favor of this impeached governor. We ask you, senators, please do what is right for the people. Be fair. Thank you.
Mrs. Mossi, Representative Staffler. The floor is open. And again, the time is 5 minutes you're allotted. And when you are providing your testimony, please stick with the issues on the order of business. And 5 minutes is your time. Thank you so much.
Test. Okay. Thank you again, honorable members of the Senate. Buenos dias para todos hamzu ni man eekunguk. Since I'm only allotted a specific amount of time, I will keep it short and simple. If the Senate body moves forward and adopts the impeachment rules as it is, then you'll be encroaching and overreaching into the House of Representatives' abilities to prosecute the case that's before us, plain and simple. Senators, the Senate on the federal side has respect for their counterparts in the House. They gave the House of Representatives the autonomy to decide for themselves who they choose for their managers and how many. Why is it that the Sinema is choosing to do it differently? President Hofschneider, you released a press release in which you stated that the House should not comment in your procedures, but sir, we as House members had no choice but to comment on the rules because you are infringing on the House's right to choose its own managers and unfairly hampering its ability to defend the case. The Senate Trial Committee has no authority neither to adopt some variation of exclusionary rules, of suppression, nor is it within their legislative jurisdiction to pick, choose, or eliminate altogether prosecuting members of the House managers. Simply put, committee has no, the Senate, simply put, the U.S. and the NMI Constitution unambiguously define the roles of the both congressional houses as related to impeachment. The House, through their strenuous and meticulous collection of evidence, opens up the impeachment process for review and vote. Of course, we all know that the executive being impeached does not haphazardly got the moniker all by way of proffered evidence. This distinction arose from the potency of evidence in addition to the approval votes of the House members. To complete the cyclical constitutional command to its finality, Senate members are dictated, required, or rather mandated by both U.S. and NMI laws to initiate a proceeding and ultimately find conclusive decision most warranted. Hence, it is not illogical to think that the Senate rules for such proceeding may deter from establishing set rules and/or guidelines in order to run their trial as smooth as possible, fair, and without any sort of hiccups. But here's where the problem lies. Nobody in here is contesting your ability to look for some sanity in the chaos of trial. Rather, it's how you go about establishing such rules, rules that went beyond the scope of your duties. The rules that have presented for a vote and passage was neither an inadvertent attempt to circumvent another legislative body's duties, nor lack of foresight, intuition, or knowledge in legal theory. Rather, it is a blatant attempt to demean, demoralize, and ridicule the constitutional rights of an entity, the People's House. For that reason alone, a purposeful cause to encroach and meddle in affairs of others is unconstitutional and unclean. By the attempt of creating and eventually passing such one-sided and unconscionable precepts, you as senators are once without morals and ethics. You have sent a conscious message that establishes a means to an end. For example, let us forget that this ever happened, and let's just continue with business as usual. Such type of behavior are never, or rather, should never be rewarded. Senators, level out the field for all parties involved. Make the necessary amendments to the rules, do what is right for the people, and do what's fair. To do Aussie in advance and on behalf of the people of the CNMI. Thank you.
Ma'am, can you please just state your name for the record? I think you overlooked that part. Just state your name for the record.
I'm so sorry. My
Thank
name
you.
is Corina Magofnia.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. The floor is open for any other testimony. Well, moving on to item C, reading and approval of the journal. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one journal for adoption today, and it is Senate Journal 22-18, dated first day, third regular session, February 3rd, 2022. Mr. President and members, I move for its adoption.
So motion offered by the floor leader for the adoption of Senate Journal 22-18. Do I hear a second on that motion?
Second.
Second in discussion. Oh, Senator Manglone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for the record, in this journal, the president informed the members and the public that in the impeachment rules committee, that a member of the minority will be, at least one member will be appointed. And just for the record, there has never been any appointment to even another member. So I just want to put that on record. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Manglonia. Any other member under discussion? All those in favor of the motion for the adoption of the journal, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Senate Journal 2218 is hereby adopted. And item D, messages from the governor. Clerk.
Mr. President, we have 8 on our agenda, 22-156 to 163.
Any comments from the members? Senator Santos.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this is in reference to Governor's message number 22-158, vetoed House Bill 22-53HS1. As some of us may know, the CNMA Public Law 21-28 recognized and anticipated the importance, the need, and legal requirements of the Medicaid program to comply as all states are required with the provisions of Title 19 of the Social Security Act. The vetoed House Bill number 22-53HS1 seeks to clarify the authority of the Medicaid director and would also further enable the recruitment, the retention, and appropriate classifications and compensation of the Medicaid personnel. The Commonwealth Medicaid Agency and its director strongly supported House Bill number 22-53HS1 as required to meet the federal mandates and implement the Commonwealth Public Law 2021-28. And with this, it is strongly urged that the author of this bill, I believe it's Congresswoman Laila Staffler, to work closely with the Attorney General's office and the Office of Personnel Management to resolve the ambiguities in the language of the bill as indicated in the governor's veto message and reintroduce further legislation's action. I strongly believe that this particular legislation is very important for the Commonwealth Medicaid Agency. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Senator Santos. Any other member under governor communication? Moving on, communications from the judiciary.
None, Mr. President.
Communications from the heads of executive department.
None.
Communications from the House.
We have 4 on our agenda, 22-79 to 82, Mr. President.
Any comment from the members? At this time, the chair recognizes Floor Leader Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And under item G, communications from the House, it is stated that this body shall take action on House Communication number 22-79. So at this moment, I'd like to offer a motion that the Senate accepts the amendments of House Communication number 22-79, returning with amendments Senate Bill number 22-18, SD1, HD2 to waive the Northern Marianas College tuition for veteran with 30% or greater service-connected disability and for other purposes. Mr. President and members, I move to accept these amendments.
So motion offered by the floor leader to accept House Communication 22-79, returning with amendments, and it's been seconded. Under discussion. Ready? And if the members accept this in an affirmative, or if they support it, then that means the bill essentially makes its way over for disposition by the administration. So with that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Cruz.
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Yes.
Senator Hoku. Senator Kingnager.
Okay.
Senator Manglonia. Senator Kirugua. Senator Sablan.
Okay.
Senator Santos. Mr. President. Mr. President, all 9 members voting yes.
With 9 members voting yes, the Senate accepts the House amendment of Senate Bill 2218. 2218 essentially passing the legislation with the House amendments. Thank you. I'd like to take a short recess.
They're just going through the agenda right now. No sparks flew. There were so 2 members of the CNMI House of Representatives did speak during the public comment period. A couple of things that Representative Leila Staffler said were intriguing. She said, they, as in the Senate, have hired as in the Torres administration, they have hired a barrage of lawyers who are building a wall around the governor. The question is, to protect him from what? She says, these rules, they are not fair. They skew in favor of the governor. And then Representative Karina Magofnia says, you'll be encroaching and overreaching into the House of Representatives' place to prosecute this case, is what Ms. Magofnia said to the senators as she, I don't think she gave them an ultimatum, but she essentially lectured them about what she believes is an unconstitutional encroachment, which is interesting because normally there is a separation of powers issue between the branches of government. So sometimes the executive branch will do things that they are not allowed to do without the legislature's authority. Sometimes the legislature will try to do things that prohibit a governor from exercising his or her clearly executive authority granted by the Constitution. In this case, the encroachment is from within one branch of government, and that's the legislature. And so in Guam, we're not familiar with this type of thing because we have a unicameral legislature, meaning we only have one body. That's just a legislature with 15 senators. In the CNMI, it's a bicameral legislature. There's a House of Representatives with 20 members, and there's a Senate with 9. And so what Ms. Magofnia is saying is that according to the CNMI Constitution and the doctrine of the separation of powers, the Senate is encroaching on the House's constitutional powers, which is an interesting thing to think about. And what she's essentially saying is that the House has to prosecute this case, and the Senate is limiting the House's ability to effectively prosecute this case, the case being the articles of impeachment against Governor Ralph Torres. Let's see what some of your comments are. Frank Aguto says, pay attention, our senators of the Mariana Islands, so do something which will ring only what is true, and that is to be in record and not your lacking of truth over matter. Bucky Manzanera says, you notice no one who are on the Torres side won't ever make a comment to defend him because they know he is guilty, obviously. Angie Bardacina says, the people are laser focused on these senators. Francisco Sablan says, we are not trying to hire the governor again. He's been impeached already, and we are trying to get justice to this case. We, the people, are looking for justice for what he was already charged with. Please, let's do it right and fair for us, the people. Mr. Speaker, you are tasked to do the right thing. You don't own the Senate. Please don't forget that. Patricia Guerrero says, the people of the Commonwealth do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments they have created, being the government. Marianne Borja says, you nailed it, Karina Magofnia. Do what is right for the people. Ongashikman Capileo says, there you go, senators. Listen to the people's voices. Florence Sablan says, Biba, Representative Karina Magofnia. Rosalia Dueña says, my Congresswoman, Precinct 3, take care of your people. All right. Well, let's see. T. Blanco says, Biba. Leila Fleming Staffler. Are they back? No, they're still out. Stony Jones asks, was that Ralph's brother that walked out and made a statement to defend the rules of impeachment? Laughing my ass off, he says. Yes, I believe that was Jack Torres that was in the public gallery. I believe so. I got some source information that Mr. Torres, the governor's brother, went to Senator Vinny Sablan's office prior to the session starting. And so what that's about, I mean, we can only guess. Frank Aguto says, all senators start doing the people's work and truthful needs. No one waiting to speak what people want to like, but only to the truth and what is needed to make the forward move, what is in the will of the next day. All senators, do you really think with your humility and wisdom
for the Mariana Islands and her people. Are you so sure you are doing the justice and fairness for the Mariana Islands and her people? What and who are you representing in the Mariana Islands and her people? God bless. The senators are just doing their self right without a true and meaningful appreciation. Yes, buenas everybody. Angie Barcinas. Oh, you already read that one. All right, thank you all for joining us and for choosing to watch the CNMI Senate session today here on Kandit. We are early this morning because we were excited to cast this session. We remain excited, not because, now the last thing we want to see is a physical altercation. But Eric says, but. No, the last thing we want to see is a physical altercation. That would be a sad day in the Mariana Islands. You know, that happened in Guam. And actually it was worse. It was 1995. Yes, it was 1995. At the time, the Democrats were very much in charge of the government of Guam. But they were so large an organization that they were divided. So what had happened was, 1994, Senator Carl Gutierrez and Senator Madeline Bradallo were elected governor and lieutenant governor. Their support, see, Governor Carl Gutierrez has a lot of Republican support. A lot of Republicans support him. And Senator Madeline Bradallo, she had a lot of Democrat support from, you know, her late husband's tenure, the Bradallo-crats, they call them. And the two got together and they were able to win by a landslide in the 1994 election. And that meant that the people who came into the legislature that year, they had just left the legislature, the 22nd Guam legislature, where Carl Gutierrez essentially was in control of that legislature. He ran that legislature. So the 23rd legislature came in without Carl Gutierrez, and there was a vacuum in leadership, so to speak. And in that legislature, some young Democrats came in, and they wanted to be in control, and they were more aligned with the Madeline Bradallo faction of things. And then there were some Republicans. Back then it was a 21-member legislature, and the way I remember it, in the 23rd legislature, if I'm not mistaken, 13 were Democrats and 8 were Republicans. Am I right? Yes. Yes, I'm right, because there were the Fabulous 5 and the Magnificent 7. What does that equal? That's 12. That's 12. Okay, so there were 12 Democrats and 9 Republicans in the 23rd Guam legislature. And Governor Carl Gutierrez was consolidating his power throughout the government of Guam. He's the new governor. There was a lot of excitement for him. And so he had his Fabulous 5, the 5 who were very much aligned with him. And they included former Speaker Joe T. San Augustine, Senator Don Parkinson, who was the fighter for the consumer, right? I think the #1 vote getter, or maybe the #2 vote getter that year. Yeah, the #2 vote getter that year was the late Senator Sonny Lujan Orsini. He was a freshman, and he ran these, at the time, very nifty commercials. And so he came in #2. Who else was on that? So that's 3. There's the 4th one is Senator Francis Santos. And there was a 5th one. I can't remember. Anyway, the only 2 to remember here are Don Parkinson, the late Don Parkinson, and the late Sonny Orsini. So coming out of the Democratic caucus, so those 5 were in the minority because the 7, apparently against Governor Carl Gutierrez's wishes, they had their own plans. These were 7 of they were almost all freshmen. I think Senator Ben Pangilinan was a junior at the time. So Senator Ben Pangilinan with his crew, Senator Tom Atta, Judy Wampat. Geez, I'm going to forget some of these. Lou Leon Guerrero was a freshman senator at the time, and there's 3 more. Anyway, so they came up with this plan for Tom Atta to be the speaker. He was the #1 vote getter, and also to be the chairman of the Committee on Rules, and Senator Ben Pangilinan would be the chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means. they would essentially have complete control of the legislature. And I guess they did not think that giving Tom Atta both the speakership and the rules would make one person too powerful. Well, the Gutierrez administration, which was in the same party, thought that that was too much power to put in one person. And so on the day of the session, I think Angel Santos was in the Magnificent Seven as well. He was a freshman senator as well, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so on the day of the legislative inauguration, when they were doing the voting, and Tom Atta and all of them thought that they were going to be voted into office, it turns out that there was an actual race, and Don Parkinson, he was nominated by Republican Senator Tony Blas, and Tom Atta was nominated by Democrat Senator Ben Pangilinan, and there was a race for the office of Speaker, and Don Parkinson was elected Speaker with the support of his 4 fellow Democrats and the Fabulous 5, himself, and all 9 Republicans. So there was a coup that happened. And the Fabulous, or the Magnificent 7 Democrats were so upset that they got up during the legislative inauguration and they walked out. Sort of like a repeat of the civil protest that happened in 1950 or 1949 in the Guam Congress of 1949. So they did a walkout, including Lou Leon Guerrero, freshman senator at the time. And so they never were able to reconcile the Gutierrez faction and the so-called Bordallo faction, those Fabulous 5 and Magnificent 7. And for whatever reason, and I guess the Magnificent 7 did a good job of, like, you know, twisting things within the Fabulous 5, because maybe like 3 or 4 months later, an argument erupts in the legislature. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the late Senator Ben Pangilinan instigated this argument. Someone instigated this argument, and it was between Speaker Don Parkinson and Rules Committee Chairman Senator Sonny Orsini. And the argument got so bad that during a recess, while they were in the private caucus room behind the public hearing room in the old legislature building over at the arcade. So the Democrats, they're always good about having food, and so they had a spread of food for the Democrat senators, and Sonny Orsini and Don Parkinson were arguing so badly that Sonny Orsini picks up a pot of chili and throws it at Speaker Don Parkinson. Don Parkinson gets the pot of hot dogs that's right next to him, and he throws that at Senator Sonny Orsini. And then, I'm sorry, Don Parkinson throws first, and then Sonny Orsini throws. And then Don Parkinson starts chasing Sonny Orsini out into where all the media is in the public hearing room, and they're covered. They're covered with hot dogs and chili, hot dog juice and chili. And Don Parkinson picks up a folding chair, one of those metal folding chairs, on the way as he's chasing Sonny Orsini, and chases him all around the arcade over to, I think, the office of Senator Francis Santos. And so the media is chasing them, and I guess they get it together and they figure out that like they're going to be on the 6 o'clock news, and this is back in 1995. And so Don Parkinson stops, and the media asks him, Senator or Mr. Speaker, were you going to hit Senator Orsini with that chair? And he says, no, I took the chair with me in case I got tired and needed to sit down. Look, I need to sit down now. Both of them were booted out in the primary election. And the Republicans took control of the legislature the next year. Holy cow. The hot dog and chili fight. And so when Johnny was talking about the hot dog and chili fight right before that whole thing happened with the Senate on, was that Monday or Tuesday? Oh my goodness. We didn't think that something was really going to happen. But so we on Guam have experience with members of the legislature acting a fool. Don't you worry, people of the CNMI. Since 1995. M. Rodney Pangilinan says, good morning and half a day from Saipan, Troy, and crew. Good morning. Um, let's see. Oh, is there a sound thing going on? Hi, cousin Ray. Melanie May says senators do the right thing for us, the people of the CNMI. Stoney Jones remembers chili dogs. Francisco Sublan says we are not trying to protect the governor for the good things he has done. It's the things he has done wrong, as with the findings of the JGO. We just need justice and clarification of what had happened. Why make it so hard? It's just common sense. Why make it politics? We need a good, trusted leader. Is that something hard to do? You know, so I was thinking about it and I thought, like, why don't, you know, this thing is going to fail in the Senate. There's not going to be enough senators to convict the governor on any of those articles of impeachment. So, like, what I suggest, you know, and I'm not trying to be a defeatist, I'm just being realistic here. There are just too many members of the Senate who are Torres cronies, and they're not ever going to vote. Look at Jack Torres is over at the CNMI Senate. Oh, we're on now.
We went on break. We're still under communications.
Can you make it louder?
From the House. And then moving on to item H, communications from the Senate. Senator Santos, on which item?
Item G, Mr. President.
Yeah, go for it. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this is in reference to House Communication number 22-82. It is hoped that when the House and the Senate conference meet, that there will be an immediate breakthrough or an amicable resolution to dispute so that our retirees will have their bonus finally be given to them, considering that, the food and fuel prices have been escalating here in the Commonwealth and worldwide. I just also noticed, Mr. President, that there is a Senate resolution that was just being provided to the members, Senate Resolution 22-80, which respectfully requests the Senate President to appoint the Senate conference to a conference committee for House Bill number 22-91 HD1 SS1. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Azizus Masi, Senator Santos. Senator Mangola, recognize.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the same item, on House Bill 2291 HD1 SS1, whereby the House has informed the Senate that they rejected this retirement bonus. We have before the Senate Resolution 22-18 to respectfully request the Senate President to appoint the Senate conference to a conference committee for House Bill number 22-91 and support and approve the proposed conference committee substitute one as attached. It's that 6 pages attachment for the payment of the retirees 1,000 bonus. Mr. President, I understand that it's in their rejection appears only in our calendar today, but as in the past, sometimes if you actually receive the notice, we immediately, because of the urgency, appoint conferees. But Senator Edith and I took the initiative to meet with the some members of the House conferees, and we discussed their intent, and that's the purpose of this attachment. Please do not ask the House how did they get the CC1. CC1 is something that Senator Edith and I have written, reflecting what the House would support. And so here is attached to this resolution is what the House intends to do. And actually, this is reflected in a bill that the House, on the same day that they rejected 2291 SS1 CCS1, filed in their session. So I think that we're very close. We're there already. It's just if we appoint the conference committee, they sit down for 2 minutes. I think that then we can make this possible for our retirees. And so if there's no objection, maybe with the unanimous support of the members, we can pass Senate Resolution 2218, or even just appoint the conferees before the end of the day so that they can meet with the House and review this proposed legislation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Jesus Masi, Senator Manglonia. Any other member under House Communication? Moving on, item H, communications from the Senate.
Mr. President, we have 9 on our agenda, 2297 to 105.
Any discussion? Senator Manglonia, recognize.
This is Muslim, Mr. President. This is on Senate Communication 2297. This is a letter I wrote back in January 27 to you, Mr. President, pertaining to House Resolution 2214 on the House's impeachment of Governor Torres for the commission of felonies, corruption, and neglect of duty. I understand we discussed this on Monday, and our session adjourned without addressing the bill. And I am raising it up at this point because today's session is actually, the third regular session, which is to continue the call that was made 3 or 4 times before today. And under this order of business, it does not include any major legislation other than Senate Bill 2261 and 2270 under our final reading calendar. It does not show here whether the Senate will tackle today the impeachment rule. So I guess my question is, are we going to tackle the impeachment rule today? Mr. President, I'm having I'm coming out with a call, and I want to attend the session in my office through Zoom because I don't want to pass my call to anyone. But if you say that they're going to entertain today, I'll stick around in person. But I just want to ask if the rules will be tackled somehow today in this session.
I intend to address the subject that you're asking. That's why we placed it on item K.
Item K, Mr. President?
Yes. And we'll make the appropriate motion and approval to place on item O.
Okay. Jesus Moxie. So I'm going to be attending the session then in Zoom in my office, Mr. President.
If you so decide,
Thank you.
I would approve that request.
Yeah.
Senator Manglonia. Any other member on Senate communication? Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief remark on Senate Communication Number 22104 from Mr. Crispin M. Ogo, Rhoda resident. I think this is very important that we take a look at this. We do understand that a lot of our citizens are dying of cancer, and any downwind effect exposure to any some sort of radiation. I think it's very important that we take a look at this in the U.S. Congress so that we participate in any kind of compensation for our citizens if any sort of downwind effect does affect our citizens. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De Leon Guerrero. Moving on to item I under communications from the Washington delegate. Clerk.
Mr. President, we have 2205 regarding the workforce strengths and weights distribution.
Any comments from the members? Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero, recognize.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the Washington Delegate Communication Number 2205, I think it's important that we take a look at the concerns that was raised by our Washington delegate regarding the submission of the Satamized report to the U.S. Department of Labor, specifically on paragraph 6. If you look at it, it says the current plan appears to lack any detail on long-term strategy for replacing foreign workers with U.S. workers, which is the overall goal of the Workforce Act. Additionally, on paragraph number 7, it says this assessment is concerning. Our local businesses are depending on your wise use of the CWF to protect them from the annual reduction in CW1 visas, and U.S. workers in the Marianas are expecting to be able to train to fill the jobs that foreign workers have for so long taken over. Mr. President, we really need to take a look at this report. I believe I shared the report that was shared to me by the Secretary of Labor. I'm not sure if you all have your copies, but it is important that we review the process and what kind of trainings are out there for our citizens, CNMI-wide, and also to look at the unemployment rate of the Marianas so that all of these funding that are coming in from the United States government to include the development of the military on the island of Tinian and now on Rhoda as well, where we have the missile launcher that's going to be placed at the Rhoda airport. Obviously, the municipal economies are going to be realizing some sort of economic growth due to military business. But what is important is that our citizens also participate with respect to any employment opportunities, and we need to hold the respective department that is managing the CWF monies to ensure that our citizens are well trained and to get into the employment opportunities. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Leon Guerrero. Any other member? Ready? Under item J, clerk.
None, Mr. President.
Item K. Clerk.
Mr. President, we have two on our agenda.
Short recess, Mr. President.
A short recess now.
I don't know why there's so many recesses going on here. But they were talking about how the House and the Senate need to conference. The conference is where they iron out differences in legislation that each House passes. And this is regarding the retirees bonus. Now, of course, both houses have no problem giving a bonus to retirees. But the Senate placed a poison pill into the bill, and that poison pill was 100% reprogramming authority to the governor. Now, for those of us in Guam who are used to government jargon in Guam, reprogramming is the same thing as transfer authority. So if you're from Guam, think of it as giving the governor of Guam 100% transfer authority, where the governor of Guam normally has 10 or 15% transfer authority. Now, the governor of the CNMI has 25% reprogramming authority. The Secretary of Finance said that that is more than enough, and the Senate wants to give the governor 100%. Oh, let's go back to session.
Resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have pre-filed Senate Joint Resolution number 2206 requesting the Office of Personnel Management, the Secretary of Finance, and the Civil Service Commission to work together to have the WGIs or merit increases assessed and processed for the civil service employees that were furloughed and later returned to work. Additionally, I pre-filed Senate Joint Resolution number 2207 requesting Governor Torres and Secretary of Finance to provide ARPA funds to provide premium pay for the legislative members' employees. And if there's no objection to the members, I would like to request that this particular Senate Joint Resolution 2207 be placed on today's resolution calendar for passage and with proper motions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Jesus Masi, Senator De Leon Guerrero, and there's no objection from the members. I now recognize floor leader to offer the appropriate motion for that request.
Thank you, Mr. President. And at this moment, I'd like to offer a motion to place Senate Joint Resolution number 22-07, requesting Governor Torres and Secretary of Finance to provide ARPA funds to provide premium pay for the legislative members' employees. So move.
There's a motion offered by the floor leader for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution number 2206 and has been seconded. All those under discussion? Ready? All those in favor for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution number 2206 on today's order of business under item O. Senate Joint Resolution 22. Sorry, you requested 06?
07.
Okay. Joint Resolution number 2207. All those in favor, once again, for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution number 2207 on item O on today's order of business, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senate Joint Resolution number 2207 is hereby placed. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. And at this time, I'd like to offer a motion to place on resolution calendar Senate Joint Resolution number 22-06, requesting the Office of Personnel Management, the Secretary of Finance, and the Civil Service Commission to work together to have the WGIs or merit increase assessed and processed for the civil service employees that were furloughed and later returned to work. I offer this motion.
There's a motion offered by the floor leader for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution number 2206 on item O. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution 2206, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senate Joint Resolution is hereby placed on item O. Any other member wish to offer a resolution or any legislation? With that, Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce Senate Joint Resolution number 2208, a Senate Joint Resolution requesting the Governor and the Secretary of Finance to provide financial assistance to meet the increased demand of fuel costs in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands by implementing a $500 fuel voucher program. And if there's no objections to the members, I would like to also request that this particular Senate Joint Resolution 2208 be placed on the resolution calendar for its passage with proper motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Objection. Thank you, Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero. And again, recognize the floor leader.
Short recess while they pass out the copies before the
All right.
motion.
Short recess.
Boy, this house of the legislature and the scene of my recess is a lot. Sorry, I'm eating. It's lunchtime. They recess like as much as the Guam legislature kind of takes the cake on recesses. They love recess. Remember that thing in school where like one time in the morning you get the 15 minutes? And do you remember when they gave us, when recess consisted of those not the saltine crackers but the other ones, the rectangular crackers with the cheese whiz?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do.
And we were forced to take naps?
Oh, wait. They didn't do that in public school, Johnny.
How do you remember it then?
For the appropriate motion to offer for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution
okay.
2208 as requested by Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to offer a motion to place on resolution calendar Senate Joint Resolution number 22-08, requesting the Governor and Secretary of Finance to provide financial assistance to meet the increased demand of fuel costs in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands by implementing a $500 fuel voucher program. So moved, Mr. President.
The motion offered by the floor leader for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution 2208 on item O, and it's been seconded. Under discussion, no further discussion? No discussion. All those in favor for the placement of Senate Joint Resolution 2208 on today's resolution gathered, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senate Joint Resolution 2208 is hereby placed. Any other member? Before I introduce my resolution. We're good. Clerk. Short recess requested by clerk.
So they're really messing with my whole eating thing here. I'm kind of hoping that they would just like continue on with their business so I could stuff my face with this food. But like here I am, mid-chew, and they're having another recess. Cramping my style. So I don't even know what they're talking about. I haven't been paying attention for the past few minutes. Do you guys know what it is? It's like lots of resolutions. They're introduced, and I think the Senate President's about to introduce his resolution. Say it again.
Gas vouchers.
Oh, gas vouchers. That's important.
$500.
Heck yeah, $500. That's more than Guam's gonna get. Heck yeah, I'm all for that. Whose resolution is that?
I think Senator Edith read it.
Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero wants to give $500 gas vouchers to the people. That is the people's senator right there. I love that. And you know, it's refreshing to hear something like that, because all I've been seeing in the expenditure of those ARPA funds and the CNMI is contracts. I don't even know if they're contracts. They're purchase orders, sole source procurements from the governor of the CNMI. Merry Christmas to whatever businesses that he wants to give that money to. And so it's refreshing to hear that those ARPA funds are going to be used for what they were intended. And that was financial relief to the government created pandemic situation that we're in that has caused so much grief. So anyway, Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire are on Guam.
No, they left this morning.
Oh, did they leave this morning? It was that bad, huh?
Last night at 10. I heard it on your criminal show.
How many? Oh, that wasn't Ray's show? I heard him talking about it. I heard him talking about Leo and Toby. Listen to me acting like I know them. So here's what I want to know. I want to know how many of the gays here went on Grindr hoping that they were going to find Leo and Toby on. I wonder how many women, married or not, went on to Tinder hoping and praying that Leo and Toby would be on Tinder.
The chair would like to ask
How many of them?
the
Oh, they're back.
members,
All right.
have any
They're back.
other resolution or bills to offer? For introduction. Senator Manglonia, I recognize.
Yes, I'd like to officially introduce Senate Resolution number 22-18 to respectfully request the Senate President to appoint the Senate Conference Committee for House Bill number 2291. This on the retirees 1,000 bonuses. So introduced. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Manglonia. Any other member? Or an introduction, as you know, Senator. So, being none, the chair has one for formally introduce Senate Resolution 22-16. A Senate resolution to adopt the Senate impeachment rules for the 22nd Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature. And without any objection from the members, I ask that we place it on today's resolution calendar. And then with that, I recognize the floor leader to make the appropriate motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. And at this time, I'd like to offer a motion to place on resolution calendar Senate Resolution 22-16 to adopt the Senate impeachment rules for the 22nd Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature. So moved, Mr. President.
Leader for the placement on resolution calendar, Senate Resolution 22-16. It's been seconded. Discussion. All those in favor for the placement of Senate Resolution 2216 on item O on the resolution calendar, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senate resolutions hereby placed on item O. Thank you. Moving on along under item M, reports of standing committees. I recognize the chairman of the Committee on Health, Education, and Welfare, and Vice President Justo Kitugua. And I'm sorry, Senator Kitugua, I recognize the floor leader for the appropriate motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we have one standing committee report for adoption, and that is Standing Committee Report number 22-65 from your Committee on Health, Education, and Welfare, reporting on Senate Bill number 22-61 to amend 3 CMC subsection 1331B by deleting the offset provision of the Northern Marianas College annual budget funded by the legislature. Mr. President and members, I move for its adoption.
It's been a motion offered by the floor leader for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 22-65. Do I hear a second to that motion? Second. Discussion. Senator Kirua.
Mr. President. Mr. President, this legislation, Senate Bill 22-61, has been requested by NMC for the second time on this legislature. The Senate had acted on the previous legislation, on the previous legislature, but the House never acted on it. So again, NMC requested for another reintroduction of a similar bill. So as a result, with input from NMC, the committee finally met and came up with the proposed amendments to the original bill, which is now 22-61 ST1, and the amendments made are all from NMC. So with that brief history of this legislation, I ask that the full Senate pass this again for the sake of our only college, and particularly the students who are attending NMC. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Vice President. Senator Santos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand that this is only for the adoption of the Standing Committee Report number 2265, but I'd like to echo Senator Kiruba's position on this legislation, and I too support this bill as it will provide NMC with funds to maintain unfunded mandates that are critical to NMC. The Attorney General raised no constitutional issues with regards to this legislation, while the NMC supports the bill as it will continue to expand its workforce development, academic programs, and rebuilding, etc. And for that, I'm ready for the question and with respect to the Standing Committee Report. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Santos. Any other member? Ready? I just want to say, Senator JQ, I really appreciate you doing this piece of legislation. Everyone, and especially the members of the legislature, every budget year, they're made aware that to give them more, and this is one mechanism to afford them that particular ask. But at the same time, it is also going to potentially compromise some of other agencies in the CNMI that are being funded by the legislature. So all the more important that we need to work hard as members of the legislature to find additional revenue and support economic activity other than what we have currently, so that we can do our best to supply these kinds of beneficial programs in the community. So with that, under the question for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 22-65, all those in favor of adopting Standing Committee Report number 2265, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Standing Committee Report number 2265 is hereby adopted. Moving on, item N, reports of Special Conference Committee.
None, Mr. President.
Under item O, resolution calendar, and at this time the chair recognizes the floor leader to entertain the resolution before us on item O, starting with 6. Yes. So recognized, floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And under O, resolution calendar, our first resolution for adoption is Senate Joint Resolution number 22-06, requesting the Office of Personnel Management, the Secretary of Finance, and the Civil Service Commission to work together to have the WGIs or merit increases assessed and processed for the civil service employees that were furloughed and later returned to work. Mr. President and members, I move for its adoption.
There's a motion offered for adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 2206. Do I hear a second to that motion? It's been seconded. Discussion. All those in favor for the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 2206, please say aye. And all those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Senate Joint Resolution 2206 hereby adopted. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our second item under resolution calendar is Senate Joint Resolution 22-07, requesting Governor Torres and the Secretary of Finance to provide ARPA funds to provide premium pay for the legislative members' employees. Mr. President and members, I move for its adoption.
Motion offered by the floor leader for the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 2207. Do we hear a second to that motion? Okay, on discussion. Ready? All those in favor of the motion for the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 2207, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Senate Joint Resolution 2207 is hereby adopted. And before just for clarification, we are not entertaining Senate Joint Resolution 2208, but I asked the clerk to keep it on the agenda for consideration the next session. So with that, I now recognize the floor leader for the next resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. And our last resolution for adoption today is Senate Resolution number 22-16 to adopt the Senate impeachment rules for the 22nd Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature. Mr. President and members, I move for its adoption.
The motion offered by the floor leader for the adoption of Senate Resolution 22-16. Do I hear a second to that motion? And second, under discussion. And I now recognize the chair for JGLFR, Chairman Senator Carl King Neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would like to yield to the other members for their comments first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any further comments on the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, for purposes of clarification, is this for the rules?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll yield for now, but I will be coming back for to put something on record. Thank you.
Senator Santos, you're recognized. If you wish to do it now, this is the discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we all know, the Constitution states that the House of Representatives may initiate impeachment proceedings by the affirmative vote of two-thirds of its members, and the Senate may convict after hearing by the affirmative vote of two-thirds of its members. The Senate is vested with the power to hear or sit as High Court of Impeachment, in which we consider evidence, hear witnesses, and vote to acquit or convict the impeached official with respect to the impeachment articles. Rule 3B states that before the articles of impeachment are presented to the Senate, that the Senate President may refer the articles of impeachment to a special committee for a preliminary determination on the threshold questions of whether the articles of impeachment as presented is deemed to be deficient or insufficient based on the House impeachment record as supplemented. Subsequently, 3C states that the Senate President may refer the remaining articles of impeachment to committee for hearing. Moreover, that may conduct another preliminary determination of the threshold questions of whether the remaining articles of impeachment as presented is deemed to be deficient or insufficient. Rule 3 easily allows the members to eliminate the articles of impeachment in its entirety without performing our constitutional mandate to conduct a hearing. The governor has been very vocal in the media and over social media networks that he is unequivocally certain that he will receive a fair and balanced hearing in the Senate, where he intends to address each allegation so that he may prove once and for all before this elected body that he has nothing wrong in his capacity as governor of the Commonwealth. This section can deprive the governor from fulfilling his promise to the people of the Commonwealth. And to further tip the scales of justice, the House impeachment record as supplemented means that Rule 9G gives the impeached official the power to either strike any part of or the entire House impeachment record or supplement in any part or the entire House impeachment record. In direct contrast, the 18th Special Committee on Impeachment Rules, chaired by then Senator Ralph Torres on the articles of impeachment of former Governor Benigno Arfito, stated, Rule 14, sufficiency of articles of impeachment, that any motion to dismiss or challenge the sufficiency of the articles of impeachment shall not be entertained by the Senate. The Senate members understood that their constitutional mandate was to conduct a fair and impartial hearing, not to challenge the sufficiency or dismiss the House articles of impeachment. Rule 7, appointment of impeachment prosecutor. Mr. President, I do not understand why the committee chooses to dictate who shall serve as the impeachment prosecutor. In the U.S. Congress, impeachment managers are representatives selected by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. To further hinder and limit their fiduciary duty, the impeachment prosecutor staff shall be limited to House legal counsel and/or other employees. In my personal opinion, this rule is unjust, unethical, and unfair, and unreasonable to the House of Representatives. If these overreaching actions were reciprocated, I undeniably doubt that the Senate will consent and tolerate such disregard of the separation of houses of the legislature, and this has been echoed by several members of the House of Representatives. Rule 8, notification of impeached officials' legal counsel. Contrastingly, the Senate does not dictate who the legal counsel will be for the impeached official, nor does the rule set any limitations or restrictions as it did to the House. Again, this is highly biased, partial, and unfair to the House of Representatives. In conclusion, Mr. President and members, and in addition to the specific rules that I highlighted above, I also have concerns regarding the witness list, legal sufficiencies of articles of impeachment, rules of evidence governing the hearing, burden of proof, and etc. I firmly believe that I cannot fairly formulate a sound decision knowing that these rules afford an unfair advantage to one party. My ability to render an impartial decision is trumped by this bias and prejudice rules. I am not a legal expert, but based on my understanding of the proposed rules, the Senate will not be conducting a fair and impartial trial, and if these rules are adopted, we might not even have a trial at all. The proposed rules is littered with bias and extremely apparent and obvious that the scales of justice has been intentionally and knowingly dipped to accommodate the impeached. Thank you, Mr. President and members. I yield for now.
This is Masi Senator Santos. I recognize Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Barely into the pages of this 44 impeachment rules, it is clear that the adopted impeachment rules does not spell justice. Despite the public statement that a minority member will be appointed to the impeachment special committee, the five-member Senate Impeachment Committee without a minority member's participation in this adopted impeachment rules continues to have significant control over key procedural matters throughout the hearing. In essence, the Senate as a whole is stripped of its duty as jury. Case in point, under Rule 3B, Trier of Facts, free rein powers to review and approve is given to the Special Impeachment Committee. Further, the further adoption of secular rules of evidence and elements of crime spelled out under Rule 3B2, the slight error or deficiency of proof presented by the impeachment prosecutor and the articles is thrown out under Rule 3B4. Though the Special Impeachment Committee stated that this is a comprehensive impeachment rules, the sad truth is it is not. Rule 72B shows the impeachment rules was not intended to be used perpetually, which is harmful in terms of establishing a precedent. The impeachment rule seems more cunningly composed by someone that may not be from the Senate or its instruments. The danger if Rule 72B remains, and so as other sections or rules in question, poses the likelihood, as I earlier stated, of establishing a harmful precedent that would set the tone for future impeachment trials, technically eroding a sacrosanct function of the Senate found in the Constitution. Mr. President and members, procedural rule is the heart of courts of law. Also, creating a committee with power to wield in a hearing or trial proceedings is like having a second but superior judge governing the conduct of the trial. The special committee's function should end when and once the impeachment rules is adopted by the Senate as a whole. However, in this case, the Special Impeachment Committee remains with its reign of power throughout the entirety of the impeachment hearing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De Leon Guerrero. I would like to call for a short recess, just 2 minutes.
So the Senate President continues to be a wet blanket on this whole thing, and just as things were rolling, you called a freaking recess. Well, at least I gave my hand some break from writing down. I've been like furiously note taking, and you know what? Let me start with your comments, because your comments are what are important here. Martina Cruz says, "I am so loving good leadership." This is in the wake of the speeches by Senator Terry Santos of Rhoda and Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero of Saipan. Ben Munoz says, "I stand corrected. Thank you, Senator Santos." Esther Evsound says, "Thank you, Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero." Rosalia Duenas says, "Thank you, Senator Santos. God bless you." Chris Tomakani says, "Honestly, I did not expect that from Senator Santos." Florence Sablon says, "The only ones with balls at the Senate are Edith, Paul, and Terry." To which she replies, "Are the rest of the senators already bought and paid for?" But, we don't know, I mean, I suppose a safe assumption is that Senator Vinny Sablon is for these rules, which are stacked in favor of his running mate, the governor. Senator Carl King Neighbors, under whose committee this came about. Oh, let's go back to the session.
The consideration of Senate Resolution 2216. And Senator Edith just finished her testimony, and the floor still remains open for any other member, of which I would recognize Senator Manglonia.
Mr. President. Finena, I just want to say that I wrote an email to our Senate Legal Counsel, Antoinette and Joe Bermudez, when the session was announced last Friday night at 5 p.m. I asked them to do a complete detailed analysis of the impeachment rules that was authored by the governor himself. And as a matter of fact, with 4 or 5 members in this chamber approving it, that was the attachment to Senate Resolution 22-14 that Senator Edith and I introduced. And I got an email I guess just Monday, from the legal counsel saying that she can give me a draft, summary, whatever, and she's still working on the final comparison, which we have asked her to review the attachment on SR 2014 versus the attachment on SR 2016, and I still haven't gotten the final analysis. I also emailed our legal counsel yesterday about the legality of Attorney Joe McDougall As a matter of fact, he was sitting at that very chair where Senator Vini was in our last session. And I wanted to ask the legal counsel, pursuant to the Constitution, section Article 2, Section 17, subsection A, B, and C, as was discussed by Congresswoman Selena as well as Congresswoman Leila, whether in fact they did not violate the Constitution, and they said they need more time. The response from the legal counsel was they need more time. And so I don't want to delay this. I want to act on it, but I want to also have all the information before us. And so, Mr. President, I'm not after anything. I don't have any hidden agenda. I just want to get past this impeachment. Let's finish it, move on. Our people out there are suffering. They want to know about their bonus, about these gas prices, about the economy, about tourism, about getting back their small businesses. And so I'm just going to keep it short. I think you got my statement already. It's just that we should have a fair trial. Let's hear from the House. Let's hear from the attorneys. Let's see the evidences, and then nobody's pressuring anyone here. We are elected to promote, to protect the interests of our people, and we decide. At that point, we vote on it, but we cannot put a handcuff on the House of Representatives. We cannot tie their hands and put a blindfold or, put one hand behind. We have to let them do the best they can and allow the governor to have 5, whatever attorney, and let's sit and listen, because this is not only about today. This is about coming years in the future. They're gonna look back at our journals, and they're gonna see how we handle impeachment process here in the legislature, the future legislature. So I just want to say that I think the best approach, Mr. President, is to hold off this passage, give the committee 1 week, not more than 1 week. Sit down with our legal counsel, address all the legal questions that have been posed, address the public comments that were raised, and they're very legitimate public comments, Mr. President. How, Mr. President, for example, can you create the impeachment rules committee, create an impeachment committee which can take Articles 1 to 6, and without the whole body of the Senate, which is 9, allow a committee of 5 to just get rid of all of these articles of impeachment? That's actually a constitutional violation, because the Constitution say the House impeach, the Senate convict. Only 5 people technically will be convicted them. So I think the House made a great presentation. What I'm saying, just repeating it, and I respectfully, professional, Mr. President, malatatsogi, idinansi, allow a committee. Si Antoinette, she was the one who initiated the rules for the 18th legislature. She took the Illinois impeachment rules. She worked on it. She's an expert. She knows how to do this. Nothing against Joe, but if Joe is going to be the attorney, I want to ask Joe to come up, and I'm going to under oath. I want him to answer many questions, such as, attorney, who gave you the bill? I mean, the rules. Did you create it? Did somebody create it and give? I have many questions, but Mr. President, I just ask that we do the right thing. Give 7 days, allow the committee, members of the public in between those, and let's do the rules, and let's just get this impeachment. Our people are tired. Manzada si Masi.
Thank you, Senator Manglona, for your comments. I recognize Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Senator po, karaman olungin man session bumuruko. Are you seeking justice or war, gini? Umpumpu si resolution ni House to proceed forward. Now that we're proceeding forward, you are interfering. Kote mang confident, are they not confident of their case? That's why we're moving forward, so we can entertain the resolution. Every time you come in here, we're very patient enough to continue to accept you, but you continue to create problem. Timang confident, stop than shouting the accusation. Since when the governor? We're not representing the governor here, representing the public. We're trying our very best. Don't say that this is the governor. The governor authored this impeachment resolution of the Senate. We worked so hard for this. So don't accuse us. Dahil tapanapamuli gini that move forward. Basta na isi prebo ni publiko na ako mas muli gini. We're tired of his umulay no attitude gini. Don't gain the public's trust on you. You think we're bad? Let's move forward with this one. If they're confident with the case, they bring in it when the time comes. We never bother the House when they does their investigation, although we can see some unfair, but we never interfere because the Constitution gave them that mandate. Stop interfering with our process so we can move forward with this resolution that you presented to the Senate. Are you guys not confident of your case? Give us that opportunity that the Constitution mandated us to do. There's two houses here. There's not only one house. Why are you coming in to be part of the impeachment rules of the Senate? If you're confident of your case, then wait for your time to be called when the time comes for that either hearing or trial and present it. But stop accusing all of us. Since the day that I come to the Senate, I represent my people and the Commonwealth. I don't represent one person. So stop accusing us and give us that mandate so we can do our job. Ako na yung Senator po, kabrada na no, umalo mo sa duruman na puso. Inseset tawa. But this is enough. Stop saying that the governor altered this. Basta mapega palabra kay Patsun Mami sa ninasu kita tanos Mami. Dati managin no ami gini. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'm not going to belabor the session, Senator Po. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple minutes because I need to allow the chairman of the committee to articulate on the manner in which the rule. No, so I'll allow you 2 minutes.
Yeah, Mr. President, isn't that's why in my letter or on I mentioned today in my comment about the impeachment. I mentioned that you stated, Mr. President, in the session on February 3rd that you're going to appoint a minority member. And that was a very good decision because then you have a committee as, when the House appointed the impeachment committee, they allowed minority members, I think 3 or 4. Here, not one, and there's only 2 minority members. You did not appoint a minority member, and this would not have happened because a lot of this discussion would have taken place. So, Senator Cruz Dispensa, if you feel that I'm accusing, all I'm saying is I'm accusing the bill that it was attached to 2216 because Senator Edith and I introduced 2214. That was the product of Antoinette and the other legal counsel back then. And the committee never took that as a starting point. If you look at the rules, it's totally day and night.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Po. And at this time, I would like to now recognize Senator Carl King Neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to say a couple of things real briefly, and then I would like to recognize our legal counsel. And after she's done, I would like the time back, please. First of all, I'm a little bit perplexed, Senator Paul. When we first entertained resolution, I think it was 14, the bare bones, as you called them, bare bones rules. You wanted it passed immediately. Now you're asking for more time. Which one is it? This is just a general question. I'm not asking for an answer. Now, thank you for that. Now, with regards to the concerns on Rule 3, subsection B, subsection C, I'd like to refer to legal counsel to expound on the case precedents that supports the structure of this rule. Specifically, Nixon v. U.S. The issue about having it in committee and not as the whole body of the Senate.
So Rule 3 basically gives the Senate President the option to either refer the articles of impeachment to the full Senate for a hearing or refer it to a special committee for a hearing. And the question has been raised about why create a special committee to hear any of the articles. And the there is case law, and specifically a U.S. Supreme Court case called Nixon versus U.S. In this case, a circuit judge was impeached in the Senate, in a Senate committee, in the U.S. Senate, in committee, as opposed to the full Senate. So what happened was they referred his impeachment case to a Senate committee, and the committee heard the case. I'm sorry, yes, had the hearing, heard the evidence, and then when the committee was done, they came up with the report and referred the matter to the full Senate, where the full Senate voted on the impeachment of the judge. So in our case here, the joint committee decided that it would be fair. I mean, it is consistent with the U.S. case law and the U.S. What do you call that? Senate's actions in the case Nixon v. U.S. that our Senate, we can have that same option, the option to either refer the impeachment articles to the full Senate for a hearing or refer it to committee for committee hearing. Then after the hearing, the committee report will be prepared and referred to the full Senate for action. And if the Senate decides, even if the Senate decides to have a committee hearing, the full Senate will still have to vote on every single article. So whether the Senate, and even if there was a predetermination that one or two or three of the articles did not meet the standard under the rules, that impeachment article still has to be brought to the full Senate. So all the articles will be referred to the full Senate for action. The only difference is if it goes to committee, the hearing will be held at the committee level, and there will not be a hearing held at the Senate level. That's Rule 3, and the joint committee used the case Nixon v. U.S. to basically justify that rule in our proposed rules.
Thank you.
Senator Carl, you have the floor.
Thank
Mr. President, as much time as we
Excuse
allow.
me, Senator the Senator Carl has the floor. That's why he yielded his time to the others so that he can come in last. So he still has the floor.
So he has 2 minutes left?
No, he's gonna have the floor because he's the chair who created this, and I just recognize him and nobody else. So I respectfully ask that unless I recognize, then please turn on your mic. Thank you. Senator Carl, you're on.
Thank you. Article 2, Section 8 of the CNMI Constitution provides that the legislature may impeach those executive and judicial officers of the Commonwealth subject to the impeachment under this Constitution. The House of Representatives may initiate the impeachment proceedings by affirmative vote of 2/3 of its members, and the Senate may convict after hearing by affirmative vote of 2/3 of its members. The Constitution makes it unequivocally clear that the Senate has a sole authority to convict the impeached official after the impeachment hearing by a vote of 2/3. Under the Constitution, each branch of the legislature is responsible for implementing its own rules to govern its impeachment process. In this case, the House essentially took an ad hoc approach and designed it to reach a preordained outcome. Since June 3rd, 2021, the House JGO committee has purportedly conducted numerous hearings, reviewed thousands of documents, and questioned multiple witnesses. As almost every witness was quick to point out, these hearings were conducted without any rules being adopted, arguably denying their rights to due process. And although the JGO's initial message was that it was trying to identify and make legislative reform, it soon became clear that the JGO's hearing was merely a pretext to serve as a vehicle for the impeachment of the governor. Over 223 days of hearings, JGO prepared 6 articles of impeachment and formally pre-filed the impeachment resolution with the House clerk on December 20th of 2021. On December 21st, the Speaker established a special committee of impeachment and referred the resolution to the special committee. That special committee held one meeting on January 4th, 2022, adopted one-page set of rules, and referred the impeachment resolution to the full House. On January 12th, 2/3 of the House members voted in favor of the impeachment resolution. It's noteworthy to mention that the special committee and the full House did not call any witnesses during this process in the full body, during the hearing, during the vote for the impeachment. They didn't seek any evidence, didn't adopt any testimony, offer any evidence from the JGO. Moreover, the one-page rule adopted by the special committee did not establish any standard for the House members to use in deciding whether to vote for the impeachment. Essentially, the House allowed each member to vote for the impeachment based on the member's personal perspective, regardless of the evidence or lack thereof, supporting the basis of the articles of impeachment. Members of this body, ladies and gentlemen, impeachment is a serious matter. It seeks to undo the power of the people expressed in an election. Our election is the process and the means for our people to express their preference for our governor, the chief executive of the Commonwealth. The people's choice should not be undone simply because certain politicians do not agree with the people's choice and wish to eliminate the official elected by the people in order to satisfy their own political ambitions. The Senate was silent on the ad hoc and unstructured process that the House chose to utilize. Given the serious nature of the impeachment, the Senate declined to do the same. Instead of adopting the bare bones rules, again offered by Senator Paul, the Senate Joint Committee took the time to develop rules that will ensure orderly and structured process for the Senate to reasonably consider the articles of impeachment. In doing so, the committee consulted the CNMI Supreme Court Rules of Procedures as a guide of developing the procedure governing the impeachment proceedings in the Senate, which includes defining House records and implementing timelines for these records to be given to the Senate. The Joint Committee also looked at the CNMI Superior Court Rules of Procedure to assist with the rules on the trial procedure and the burden of proof required for impeachment of an official. In preparing these rules, it was learned that states have impeachment trials conducted by the Senate and the upper chamber, and few states provide for the judicial branch. My apologies. A few states' constitution provides for the judicial branch to conduct their impeachment trial. The ones that do so have a burden of proof of either clear and convincing evidence or beyond a reasonable doubt. I would like to note that when there is an impeachment process and the impeached official is of the same party of the Senate, they tend to choose beyond a reasonable doubt. This is something we did not do. We chose clear and convincing. Now, in effort to ensure that the rules are fairly applied, the Senate President also requested that the Chief Justice or his designee preside over the impeachment hearing or trial. However, the CNMI Supreme Court, through all three Supreme Court justices, refused to get involved in the impeachment trial, explaining that doing so would encroach on the authority vested in the legislative branch and disrupt the balance of power among the three branches of government. We choose to maintain this balance. The CNMI Supreme Court choose to respect the separation of powers of three branches. This decision echoes and solidifies the law that when the Constitution grants the Senate power to try an impeachment, the Senate's constitutional mandate to conduct a hearing also means that they have sole authority to draft and adopt these rules governing the hearing. The Senate also referred to impeachment proceedings to a committee made up of senators from all three islands, Saipan, Saipan and Northern Islands, Tinian and Rota. That means every person from every island in the Commonwealth was represented in that joint committee. I'd also like to note that through our research, we came across another case law, David versus Akers, in which the U.S. case law standing for the fact that once a senator is elected, that senator represents all constituents in his or her senatorial district and is no longer just a part of their political party. This means when I make a decision as a senator, I'm responsible for the lives and the decision reflect all the people of the island of Tinian, not just independents, not just the Republicans, but also the Democrats. Finally, I acknowledge that the Speaker was honored to transmit the articles of impeachment to the Senate President, but for some reason is not honored to have that duty to present the impeachment case to the Senate. One can only wonder why. I yield back.
Thank you, Chairman King Neighbors. I want to open up any other comments from any other members before we call the vote. Senator Paul.
Thank you, President. Somehow I feel so handicapped. Um, the lawyers can speak as much as they want, or the chairman. But Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the chairman, Gi corazon mo, is it right to ask the House Speaker to actually prosecute the whole case? And that's a good, that he will do a better job than an attorney. This calls for an attorney to present, because he's the speaker is more than capable to speak and all of that. But we're dealing with impeachment. You're right; it's a serious matter. And what's wrong with having them appoint three House members or 4 House members as impeachment managers, and allow also their attorney to speak? Because we're not telling the governor to just have 1 lawyer or 2 lawyers. He can pretty much hire as many lawyers as he wants. It just doesn't seem fair that, in as a lawmaker, I want to know uh, what is legal, what is illegal, what is abuse of government trust. I mean, of government abuse of government money. What is betrayal of public trust? I want to know that. So I want them to present a good case. I want the governor to put up a good fight, and then I'm the judge. Don't we all want to see that? I mean, I don't know if you guys don't want that, but I think that's all I'm asking. That's all the House is asking. As a matter of fact, there's, I understand there's like 4 or 5 of them in the JGO, and in hearing the live coverage, each one of them were handling different parts of the article for the impeachment, and now we're gonna handicap them further by saying only now the speaker. The speaker wasn't really involved in detail. He knows the general aspect and the charges, but now we're gonna say only you, the speaker, only you and you only. And then if the speaker decides to not take it, it goes to another person, and then if that other person doesn't want it, now the Senate president, imagine the Senate president is gonna select. I mean, this is just one of the many unfair rules that we have. And so I ask, does that seem fair that the speaker is going to go against an army of lawyers? And to top it off, the requirements are so detailed, like you say, per the court standards, and we expect them to meet all of that. That's so. I have some amendments to offer, but I'm going to allow a senator, I guess, other senators have amendments. But I guess no matter what I say, it's already done. Thank you.
Thank you. I recognize Chairman Carl. You have any?
I'm not here to speak to, obviously, we have differing opinions on what is fair and what is not fair. That's why we put things to a vote where we can agree to disagree. I have my reasons as the committee discussed and deliberated over the way these rules were made, and I would hope that the speaker is versed on the documents that he transmits to the Senate. He's not, again, he will be there with support staff. He doesn't necessarily have to be the attorney, quote unquote. So again, we can agree to disagree.
Thank you, Chairman. And before I call the roll, just for clarification, clerk, upon the adoption or whatever the outcome is, that essentially gives the fate of that product, 2216. Okay. So I wanted to take a couple minutes just to first, I wanted to express appreciation for the comments made by the public and, of course, the members. As sensitive, as significant as this process is for the CNMI, since the beginning of the public comments that I made over the impeachment of the accused. I've always said that we're going to conduct a fair hearing. I came out also publicly supporting the product of the joint committee of there's no absolute option that the committee had chosen. There's other elements that the Senate can engage. And as the presiding officer, it does allow me that opportunity. But we can't keep focusing on being, as one of us mentioned earlier, we're already being condemned without really going through the hearing process. And whether that is fair for some of us, I think that's pretty. I would say respectfully disagree with some of the accusations that were made out there without really knowing. And again, it took some of the members of the legislature almost 2 years to dig and do all their proceedings, and it took the joint committee all of 20 days, 30 days. Even actually, they were supposed to be done earlier. They're supposed to be done earlier, but even being testing positive and had to dig them out and say you gotta get it going because it's I don't want to belabor this process because I know everybody's waiting. So we're here today to start that process, and I fully understand that not all of us, as indicative of your comments, are comfortable with this proposed rules. But again, there are check mechanisms in there for most of us in this body. We know that the rules are there, but there are check mechanisms all the way down to Rule 44. And I only ask that we move ahead so that we can get to the next step so that everyone in the Commonwealth can finally go with the process and watch the proceedings go in an equitable and a fair manner, open to the public. We'll give both sides an opportunity to present their case, and we'll go from there. We'll base ourselves with those presentation. I would like to call the roll now. As usually I allow all the members to stay their piece before and I'm going to stick with that rule. And I apologize if you feel otherwise. So at this time,
The President, I think Senator Edith is raising her hand.
And I'm going to exercise my authority, Senator Poe, that again, I allowed everyone to talk before I say my last statement, and that is the
Mr. President, with all due respect,
yes, Senator Poe.
before I end my statement, I said that I want to offer an amendment, some amendment, but I will allow others to first say what they want to say under discussion. But if you listen to my statement, I said I have amendments to offer. I could have made it at that point, but I respectfully allow other members to talk. If you look at the journal back.
Let me go for a short recess. No.
I was expecting there to be more discussion. I kind of assumed that he was talking about Senator Edith de Leon Guerrero when he said that others wanted to make amendments. I wondered where that was, and so thankfully Senator Maglonia clarified that. At this point, because it's just obvious that the Ralph Torres is going to survive this impeachment attempt or this removal from office attempt, because he has enough members of the Senate who are against his removal from office. That's just pretty clear. And when you see the vote on these rules and how it comes out, it's going to be either 5-4 or 6-3 to pass these impeachment rules as they are, if they're not amended by an attempt by De Leon Guerrero or Maglonia. Justo Kitigua hasn't spoken, but he was on that joint committee, and that joint committee At least he did not publicly say anything against the rules when they came out of that joint committee. So I think the safe assumption is that Senator Justo Quirigua is in favor of these impeachment rules. And if you are in favor of these impeachment rules, you know, it's a pretty safe assumption that you are going to vote against every single one of those articles of impeachment, because it's clear that the impeachment rules are stacked for the governor. Any reasonable person would see that. And they can Nixon versus U.S. all they want. They took one instance of the U.S. Senate holding everything in the Judiciary Committee and then reporting out for the full Senate to vote, and they thought, you know, why don't we do that here? Since the U.S. Senate did it one time and it was permissible by the Constitution. Clearly, this Senate is stacked in favor of Governor Ralph Torres. And you know what? Is that such a bad thing? Yes, there are people who would like to see him removed from office. Sure, I'd like to see him removed from office so that he can never pursue public office again. However, there is another mechanism by which he can be removed from office, and that's the election. And the way things are looking, it looks like when the election happens, there will be a runoff between Arnold Palacios and Tina Sablan because Ralph Torres will come in dead last. I mean, that really is how it's looking, at least right now. I know things can change, and maybe that's what some people are afraid of, but I have a lot of confidence in the electorate. I really do. And from what I hear going on in the Commonwealth, Ralph Torres will be removed from office by the voters. It would be very simple. It would happen in November. But I do see the need to remove him from office because of the crimes he's committed, which raises another issue, is where is the criminal justice system in holding Governor Torres accountable for crimes, whether it's the local criminal justice system or it's the federal criminal justice system. I guess we have to wait and see. Now, the comments by Senator Terry Santos, I mean, she probably made the best comments. I mean, no offense to any of the other senators, but Senator Terry Santos Arota made, I thought, were the best comments. She said, Rule 3B, Rule 3B 1 and 2 would allow this committee to have a predetermined outcome of this impeachment without the Senate performing our constitutional duty. She says to further tip the scales of justice, Rule 9B, the governor or the impeached official can strike evidence as he pleases. She compared Rule 14 of the FITIAL impeachment rules against, I believe it's the Rule 3B, if I'm not mistaken, and she says Rule 14 for FITIAL said that there will be no motion for dismissal, no motion to dismiss that the Senate will entertain. She said in Rule 7, I don't understand why the committee wants to dictate who the prosecutor will be. She says this rule is unjust, unreasonable, unfair. She talks about the separation of houses of the legislature. The first time that I'm hearing a term like that, because, you know, I live in unicameral legislature, Guam, where we don't have a House of Representatives and a Senate. We only have one house, which is called the Guam Legislature, and it's filled with, by and large, dummies. These rules, she says, these rules afford an unfair advantage to one party. She says the Senate will not be conducting a fair trial. The proposed rules are littered with bias. The scales of justice are tipped. That's what Senator Terry Santos said. Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero says the Senate as a whole is stripped of its role as a jury. She points to Rule 7B and she says it seems more cunningly proposed by someone who's not from the Senate or its instruments. Senator Paul Magnolia says the rules were authored by the governor himself. He made that accusation. And then Senator Francisco Cruz from Tinian was like, why are you accusing us? I don't only represent the governor, I represent the people. And like none of you were buying it. The senator says our people are suffering. Our people out there are suffering. Let's be done with this impeachment because the price of gas, the condition of the economy, tourism, that's what the people want us to work on. He says we should have a fair trial. Let's hear from, sorry, my writing sucks. Let's hear from the House. Let's hear from the governor. Let's see the evidence. We cannot put handcuffs on the House of Representatives. Senator Cruz says every time you come in here, you want to mess things up. He's talking to Senator Mangloni at that time. At that point, he says, "We're not representing the governor here. Don't accuse us." Senator Carl King Neighbors, we talked about Nixon versus U.S. He gave his explanation as to how he responded to the criticisms he was receiving about certain of the rules, and he asked the legal counsel of the House, of the Senate, to explain some of those. I wasn't buying the explanation, and you know what, you know where my biases are. Senator Manglonia says, "No matter what I say, it's already a done deal," is what he says. President Hofschneider says, "We're already being condemned without going through the hearing process. For some of us, I would say I respectfully disagree with some of the criticism out there." I thought that was a pretty, that was a real look into the psyche of the Senate right now, when its president is feeling the criticism from the public and outwardly stating so. And I had to give it to Senate President Jude Hofschneider. It's not the smoothest process, but he has been cordial and respectful to all of the members, and you have to give him credit for that, no matter what side of the fence he is on. Let's see what your comments are. Ken Leongro says, "Everyone's true colors shining through and a chance for the CNMI voters to clean house at all levels. Guam politicians better take notice of local voter more." Ruth Ann Sanchez says, "Yep, it's going to continue to live on." Nanding Luna says, "Hey, Jude and minions, impeachment dead on arrival at your house." Bucky Manzanara says, "Let's be positive. He may not be removed from office, but we can elect our new leaders. Your vote matters." JDC Beneventi says, "The fix is in. The corruption shall live on." Not if voters choose otherwise. So, like we were saying, even if this fails in the Senate, and it likely will fail in the Senate, ladies and gentlemen, there are enough Ralph Torres supporters in the Senate to keep him in office. Let's not forget that his running mate is the floor leader of the Senate. All right. I mean, this is just a realistic situation that we've got to live with. But it's not like we have to live with that situation for a long time. There's an election coming up in November. And if you truly believe that Ralph Torres should not be the governor because he is corrupt, then you have, as a voter of the CNMI, you have an opportunity to vote for someone else so that he does not become the governor of the CNMI again. Alma Jake Apatang Paguza says, "Sheena Ann, I'm only watching you so you don't fall asleep." Let's see. Hello, everybody. We're just waiting for the Senate to come back in. What we're waiting for is that, so Senate President Jude Hofschneider was about to call the roll, and Senator Paul Manglotnia interrupted and said, "Mr. President, respectfully, Senator Edith de Leon Groh is raising her hands." And I can only assume that she's raising her hands to make the amendments that Senator Paul Manglotnia alluded to prior to Senate President Jude Hofschneider's speech. Senator Manglotnia was on, and he said, "I want to say this in response to Senator King Neighbors, but I know that there are amendments that other members want to make, and I want to make some amendments, but I will yield to the other members first." At that point, Senator King Neighbors responded to Senator Manglotnia, and then Senate President Jude Hofschneider took the floor and then made his speech, and then started to call for the roll. And Senator Manglotnia interrupted him and said, "Look back at the journal, Mr. President. I did mention that we want to make amendments to these impeachment rules." So that's where we are right now. And then the Senate President called for a recess, I suppose, to confer with the clerk. I'm not sure. Patricia Guerrero says, "How would Senator Vinny Sablan vote today as a senator, not as running mate of Governor Torres? That should be telling." Well, I mean, there's no separating it. He is one and the same. He is a senator, and he is a running mate to Governor Ralph Torres. And I saw some comments. Roger Sakisat says, "Torres Sablan will win this coming election." Crystal McCanney says, "Buenos dias, Senator Paul Manglotnia." I saw some comments above about calling out conflicts, so-called conflicts of interest. And so when the House impeachment proceedings were going on, Governor Ralph Torres called for his gubernatorial opponent, Representative Tina Sablan, to recuse himself or to recuse herself from the vote because, according to the governor, she was conflicted. And so some people now are asking, why is the governor not calling for the recusal of Senator Vinny Sablon because, he has a conflict of interest. So the Constitution of the CNMI does not go into something like that. It does not define when a conflict of interest exists. It just says that these members of the legislature have duties according to the Constitution when questions like this arise. So, from the jump, that whole issue of conflict of interest was just silly. The governor shouldn't have called for it because, knowing that, his own running, it would be a question that his own running mate would face. It's a non-starter of a question. JDC Beneventi says, why is the two minority always denied to make a comment? I think he was talking about Paul Manglotnia and Edith de Leon Guerrero, and it almost sounds like, based on her comments, Senator Terry Santos is a part of the minority. She is an independent senator from Rhoda. Roger Sakisat says, Patricia, the same as Tina and Layla, voted in the House. Stay Woke CNMI says, Roger Sakisat in your dreams, responding to his comment that Torres Sublime will win this coming election. Ruth Ann Sanchez agrees with him, says he's going to be the governor again. Martina Cruz says the CNMI people will put this impeachment to rest. Well, how long is this break already, for crying out loud? Did they leave? They're still on? Luisa Carrera says, this is a long recess. Yes, it is. Round 2, Cruz versus Manglotnia. Sebronga Andres says, keep dreaming, Roger Sakisat. Politics are getting real in the Marianas, I'll tell you that. They're pretty real on Guam, too. The Democrats and Republican, the parties themselves, are duking it out here on Guam. And it's just a matter of time before the candidates start to duke it out. There was kind of a duking out that happened when Governor Felix Camacho announced his run against Governor Lulian Guerrero, and they started throwing barbs at each other. Martina Cruz says, politics, loyalty won't impeach even when proven guilty. The people of CNMI must do the right thing for the next generation. Bucky Manzanares says to Patricia, no sense. We are talking. Senator Layla only made a public comment, but is not part of voting for impeachment. Rosalia Duenas says, maybe action happening too long. Recess again. Roger Correction says, no, she voted in the House. I'm really out of things to say. So, quick break. Yeah, you want to pay some bills? Let's pay some bills, and we'll be right back. And if the Senate session comes back into, if they come back into session, we'll cut the commercial and we'll go right into the session.
That this environment is for anybody that wants to try something new, whether it is CrossFit or powerlifting. We offer a safe space for someone who's never been athletically inclined to try something that they've never done before.
Today, this is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. If you're struggling to pay rent and utilities because of the pandemic, your government can help. Our emergency rental assistance program provides direct relief to you. To date, over $6.9 million has helped over 1,500 households.
Apply online at eoa.guam.gov or call the Department of Administration's Emergency Rental Assistance Program at 671-638-4518 or 19.
Have you or a loved one been injured through medical negligence or substandard medical care? Are you angry? File complaints through the Guam Board of Medical Examiners to make physicians accountable. It's time that we stand up to protect our families and the people of Guam. The complaint form can be found at GBME's website, www.guammedical.org. Have questions or want the form emailed to you? Contact us at asher@asherdeanlubofsky.com or our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/bunzoasher. We do not provide legal or other professional info or services. We do this to improve medical care on Guam through medical accountability equity. Justice for those injured or killed through medical negligence on Guam.
The Jones Act is a 1920 law justified on national security grounds as a means to bolster the U.S. maritime industry. It restricts domestic shipping to vessels that are U.S. built, U.S. owned, U.S. flagged, and U.S. crewed. However, this law boosts cost by banning foreigners from competing and forcing Americans to purchase ships that are up to 8 times more expensive than those built in other countries. The result is higher transportation costs. Shipping oil from Texas to the Northeast, for example, costs 3 times more than importing oil from Africa. Ultimately, consumers foot the bill. In addition, higher shipping costs push freight from ships onto other sources of transportation, such as trucks, which means more traffic and pollution. Meanwhile, this blatant protectionism has failed to benefit builders of ships in the U.S., whose production is less than 1% of those in China and South Korea. Domestic builders have seen over 300 shipyards close since the early 1980s. Jones Act defenders claim the law ensures adequate U.S. ships during times of war, that during U.S. deployments during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, foreign flagged commercial ships carry twice as much equipment as their U.S. counterparts. In fact, the U.S. was so desperate for shipping that it twice requested the use of a cargo ship from Moscow. Both requests were denied. So the Jones Act has failed to achieve its shipbuilding and national security goals while driving up costs for consumers. It's time for this outdated, costly, and ineffective law to be repealed. It's time to end the Jones Act.
We're getting information from inside the Senate that they are about to start. They're just waiting for Senator Edith de Leon Guerrero to walk back to her chair. Martina Cruz says, I guess Senator Cruz turned green, Incredible Hulk, so they're just waiting for him to return to normal. Vinny Castro says, that's why the governor is exercising, trying to lose the weight before my lockup. See boy, responding to Florence about, going to jail. Patricia Guerrero said something, I'm trying to find it. She said something about make no doubt the feds will indict him this year. Ruth Ann Sanchez says, praying for the Senate leaders so they can analyze, think before they make the right choice, guide them, and protect them from all evil. Amen. Ms.
Back in
Sanchez
session.
says, Raymond Lazama says,
And
they're
before
back.
we took that long break, there was a question, there was a request made by Senator Manglonia with regards to offering floor amendment to Resolution 2216. So at this time, the chair recognizes Senator Poe or Senator Edith, who's Senator Poe, recognize.
It to the members. The first one, and I move at this point for the passage of floor amendment to Rule 27, as clearly indicated in the copies in front of all the members. This is pertaining to the impeachment committee that was created under this rule. So, and its authority. So, basically, it's to state that the Senate President shall not refer the articles of impeachment to a committee pursuant to any rule, including but not limited to Rule 3B or Rule 3C, and that the chairperson shall not be the presiding hearing officer and shall not preside over the proceedings or hearings in the committee. So I so move.
Second.
As offered by Senator Manglonia and seconded by Senator Edith. Discussion. I'm going to go ahead and call the roll for the disposition of the floor amendment offered by Senator Manglonia. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Senator Cruz?
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero?
Yes.
Senator Hocco? Senator King Neighbors?
No.
Senator Manglonia?
Yes.
Senator Sablan?
Aye.
Senator Santos?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Aye.
Mr. President, 5 members voting no, 3 members voting yes.
With 5 no and 3 yes, the floor amendment offered by Senator Manglonia is hereby defeated and disapproved. And I recognize Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer a floor amendment to Rule number 28. And that amendment would be on page 19, line 28 to page 20, line 3, the issuance of orders under Rule 28, unless provided otherwise by these rules. Strike out the committee chairperson and to substitute it with Senate President has the power to make and issue all orders, mandates, writs, and other papers or documents authorized by these impeachment rules or by the Senate, and B, to enforce any rule and order related to the impeachment proceedings that the Senate authorizes. So moved.
So offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero for the floor amendment as read, and all of us have provided copy. Do I hear a second to that motion? Second. Under discussion. Ready? Clerk, please call the roll for the floor amendment so offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Senator Cruz?
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero?
Yes.
Senator Hocco? Senator King Neighbors?
No.
Senator Manglonia?
Yes.
Senator Sablan?
Aye.
Senator Santos? Mr. President?
No.
Mr. President, 5 members voting no, 3 yes, 1 absent.
With 5 no, 3 yes, and 1 absent, the amendment offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero is hereby is did not pass. Sorry. Disapprove rather. So on the floor, the next floor amendment, I recognize Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Mr. President, and this will be floor amendment to rule number 31. On page 22, line 4 to page 23, under section A, hearing on the articles of impeachment shall commence on the day and time directed by the committee chairperson. Strike that out, to be substituted by the Senate President. Hearing shall continue day to day until its conclusion. All legislative and other business of the committee, strike that out and substitute it by the word Senate, shall be suspended until conclusion of the hearing or until hearing is recessed by a majority vote of the committee. Strike that out and substitute that by the word Senate members. On section B, 10 days prior to hearing, the impeachment prosecutor and impeached official or the impeached official legal counsel shall file with the committee chairperson. Strike that out and replace it with Senate President, a witness list and an exhibit list. The witness list and the exhibit list shall also be served to the opposing parties or their respective counsel. So move, Mr. President.
Motion for the amendment was offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero and it's been seconded. Discussion. Ready? Please, clerk. I recognize the clerk to please call the roll on the amendment offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero.
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hopwood, Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia, Senator Sablan,
Aye.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 5 members voting no, 3 members voting yes.
With 5 members voting no and 3 yes, the amendment offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero is defeated. At this time, I recognize Senator Manglonia.
Just one thing, Mr. President. I have a floor amendment here. It's amending Rule 3C, preparation and form of proceedings. The Senate President may refer the articles of impeachment to committee, strike that out, and replace by the words the entire Senate for the hearing. The committee, strike the word committee and replace it with the entire Senate responsible for the hearing may also conduct a preliminary determination of the threshold questions of whether the articles of impeachment as presented and so forth. And on subsection 2, replace again the word committees and replace it with entire Senate's conclusion of the articles deemed to be deficient or insufficient shall be made a part of the committees, strike committees, replace entire Senate's report required by Rule 40A. And 3, the remaining articles of impeachment will proceed to hearing before the committee, strike the word committee, and the entire Senate to replace it. I so move for the adoption of this rule.
Second.
Amendment offered by Senator Manglonia. Can you, it's been seconded, but it's not part of the exhibit here, right? Is there another copy for the members? Any discussion? Give me a call for a short recess now.
All right. Yes, Senate President Jude Hofschneider is a very courteous presiding officer, but this is a lot of recess. This is Guam legislature recess territory already that we're entering. There's a lot of recesses, all right? Now, we've been very complimentary of the Commonwealth Legislature and its ability to conduct its business without so many recesses, as compared to the Guam Legislature, which recesses on a dime. However, it's getting excessive, senators. Let's get this together, all right? It's a lot of recesses to go through. Well, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, we see where this is going. I suppose this is an exercise in procedure, right? No, not civility. We already broke that. Oh, futility? No. Not an exercise in futility because, I'll tell you why. Because 6 of these senatorial offices are up for election this year. And it is good for the people and the voters of the CNMI to see exactly where their senators stand. And in this case, it is pretty clear that there are 3 senators who appear to be in favor of the impeachment. You know, I shouldn't say that. At least 2 are in favor of the impeachment, Edith Leon Guerrero and Paul Manglonia. At least one of them is interested in having a fair trial conducted. And that's Senator Terry Santos. Oh, they're back.
Manglonia's the question on the amendment offered by Senator Manglonia and has been seconded under discussion. Clerk, please call the roll on to dispose of amendment offered by Senator Manglonia.
Senator Cruz?
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero?
Yes.
Senator Hoku? Senator King Neighbors?
No.
Senator Manglonia? Senator Sablan?
Aye.
Senator Santos? Mr. President?
No.
Mr. President, 5 members voting no, 3 members voting yes.
With 5 members voting no and 3 yes, the amendment offered by Senator Manglonia is defeated. Senator De Leon Guerrero, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer a floor amendment to Rule Number 34, page 24, line 20 to page 25, line 3, subpoena of witnesses, documents, or other materials, request to admit additional evidence. Each party may submit subpoenas for witnesses, documents, or other materials to the committee chairperson. Strike that out, to be replaced by Senate President at least 10 days prior to the commencement of the impeachment hearing. The committee chairperson, strike that out, Senate President, and replace it with the word Senate President, shall sign or approve each hearing subpoena that is timely submitted by a party. Under A, a witness served with a hearing subpoena may move to quash the subpoena by filing a motion with the Senate clerk no more than 3 days after service. On B, the committee chairperson, strike that out, replace it with Senate President, shall hold a hearing before the whole Senate on the motion to quash within 5 days after the motion was filed. C, the party that requested the subpoena may file an opposition to the motion to quash no later than 2 days prior to the hearing date. D, the committee chairperson, strike out the word committee chairperson, replace it with Senate pursuant to a 2/3 vote, shall rule on the motion to quash as soon as practical following the hearing. So moved.
There's been a motion, amendment offered by Senator Edith Leon Guerrero. Do I hear a second to that motion? It's been seconded. Discussion. Ready? Clerk, can you please call the roll on to dispose of the floor amendment offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero?
Senator Cruz?
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero?
Yes.
Senator Hoku? Senator King Neighbors?
No.
Senator Manglonia? Senator Sablan?
Aye.
Senator Santos? Mr. President?
No.
Mr. President, 5 members voting no, 3 members voting yes.
With 5 members voting no and 3 yes, the floor amendment offered by Senator De Leon Guerrero is defeated. And I recognize Senator Paul Manglonia. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to offer a floor amendment to Rule 37. Copies have been provided to the members, and it's pertaining to page 25, line 22, to page 26, line 20. And Rule 37 is basically a rule on procedure at hearing, presentation of questions, motions, and other matters at the hearing, votes on motions, requests, and other matters. So you have all these subsections below, and the amendment is to just change the word committee chairperson to Senate President, where the word committee appears, change it to the word Senate. I so move.
Second.
Floor amendment offered by Senator Paul Manglonia, been seconded. Discussion. Being none. Clerk, can you please call the roll for the floor amendment offered by Senator Manglonia?
Senator Cruz,
No.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
Yes.
Senator Hoku, Senator King Neighbors,
No.
Senator Manglonia,
Yes.
Senator Sablan,
Aye.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
No.
Mr. President, 5 members voting no, 3 members yes.
With 5 members voting no and 3 yes, the floor amendment offered by Senator Manglonia is hereby defeated. I think we are. That's the last of the amendment request. No? So with that, I now would like to recognize the clerk to call the roll for the main question or the adoption of Senate Resolution 2216. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Cruz,
Yes.
Senator De Leon Guerrero,
No.
Senator Hoku, Senator King Neighbors,
Unggan.
Senator Manglonia, Senator Sablan,
Hunggan.
Senator Santos. Mr. President,
Again.
Mr. President, 5 members voting yes, 3 members voting no, 1 absent.
Um,
Yes.
With 5 members voting yes and 3 no, Senate Resolution 2216 is hereby adopted. Thank you, and I'd like to call for a short recess.
About the rest of this session, what you saw right now was the passage of the impeachment rules. They're highly stacked for Governor Ralph Torres. What I predict is going to happen is that several of the articles of impeachment will be declared to be not meeting the constitutional threshold. A majority of the members of the Senate will vote to adopt the committee chairman, that's
back in
Senator Carl
session,
King Neighbors, report on the matter, that it be deemed as not meeting the constitutional threshold. Well, let's see what they're talking about right now. Can we see what they're talking about just real fast?
Bill calendar, and at this time, then I recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, so we don't care about that. Now, that's very likely what's going to happen. And then they're going to do everything procedurally to limit what the full Senate hears. Then they're going to limit what evidence the full Senate will be able to see. And the House of Representatives will be forced to transcribe all of the proceedings, all of those hours of testimony within 14 days from today. This is what those Senate rules state. Within 14 days of today, the House of Representatives shall transcribe and then turn over to the Senate the full proceedings. So they probably have to hire a whole bunch of transcription people, and the members of the House, the JGO committee, will have to personally listen to how many hours of testimony, read up against the transcription so that they can endorse the transcription over to the Senate as being a full and correct transcription of the record. So that will have to happen. Then, there will be motions to dismiss. The governor will be able to single-handedly dismiss evidence before the Senate. This is a whole mess. And then truly this is stacked for the governor, which is why you saw Senator Terry Santos voting against the adoption of these rules, joining Senator Paul Manglonia and Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero in the vote against these rules. And I'll guarantee you now that Senator Santos has voted this way, she is going to feel the wrath of the Torres administration and its cronies in the Senate, and they will do things to quote-unquote punish her and make her feel what it is to so-called betray the all high and mighty governor of the CNMI. But good for her for standing on conscience and principle. I have been sitting on this seat for quite some time. It is time for us to get back to 3 hours. And you know, I have to say this about the Senate. They worked through lunch, unlike our Guam legislature. So despite all of the recesses, which kind of met Guam legislature territory, they worked through lunch, and that makes them different. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and this morning for Kandit News. I'm Troy Torres. Until later today, have a great day, Marianas.
Have a day. My name is Leslie Salazar.
Hi, I'm Christine.
Hi, my name is Troy Torres.
I'm 33 years old, a mom of 2, and a full-time educator.
I'm 41 and I've been in an eternal struggle with my weight.
Part of being healthy is time consuming, and with Ignite, I can put more time on my mental, physical, and emotional state, which is really convenient for me because I'm always rushing.
I come to Ignite to get the acai bowls, the one with protein in it, and I also like the Revive drinks, the one with the cayenne pepper. It has a kick. It's got a kick to it that gets my day started.
So I go to Ignite mostly after a workout because I do go to the gym that is right next to the Denito location. So it's just really convenient to get a quick drink or a quick meal in right after a workout to supplement my body.
Cold pressed juice is a really big thing back in the States, and I feel so happy and glad that I can have a familiar taste. So I can also taste the real ingredients, and it's so convenient.
So Ignite helps me lead a healthier lifestyle, mostly for the convenience because I am a busy mom and a full-time employee, so I don't really have time to prep any of my meals. So Ignite kind of helps me with that in that I can just go there to pick up something really quickly and feel like I'm feeding my body with good stuff versus like the drive-thrus and things like that.
I mean, you can go to different places. You can follow your doctor's advice to be healthy and do these things that just aren't fun. But to feel healthy and to be healthy at the same time and for it to taste good, that's what makes this place unique.
Happy day, my name is Jennifer Quijano Paredo of Protect Services. So when COVID hit, everything was about COVID, COVID this, COVID that, and somehow even my equipment was catching COVID. But joking aside, my equipment is important in our daily operations. Somehow I was having a difficult time getting through SBA. They were just giving me a runaround. So I reached out to our congressman's office, and with their team and the Guam SBA, they were able to help me in getting our truck repairs as well as another truck to keep our businesses running. And in the future, if you guys have any federal concerns or issues, reach out to your congressman's office.
Thank you for helping save small businesses with federal funds.
Thank you for helping save small businesses.
Thank you for helping small businesses with federal funds.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Hafide, this is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. If you're struggling to pay rent and utilities because of the pandemic, your government can help. Our emergency rental assistance program provides direct relief to you. To date, over $6.9 million has helped over 1,500 households.
Apply online at eoa.guam.gov or call the Department of Administration's Emergency Rental Assistance Program at 671-638-4518 or 19.